Colt has been Tom's stunt double for the past 6 years in Hollywood. Tom is an action star, and Colt worked alongside a camera operator named Jody. Jody's dream was to become a film director, and they both loved each other deeply. One day, Tom didn't like a stunt Colt performed, so he asked him to do it again. Colt repeated the stunt, but it failed, resulting in Colt getting seriously injured. Despite this, he reassured everyone by giving a thumbs up to show he was okay. After this incident, people began calling him the Fall Guy. 6 months later, Colt recovered and left the film industry. Without informing anyone, he started working as a valet at a Mexican restaurant. A whole year passed with him working there and staying out of touch with his old contacts. Then one night, producer Gail called him, saying she was producing a big-budget film and needed him for Tom's stunts. She asked him to come to Sydney, but Colt refused. Gail then told him that Jody was directing the movie and had specifically asked for him. Hearing this, Colt, feeling that Jody's dream was finally coming true, headed straight to Sydney. Upon arrival, the production team performed a 3D scan of Colt's face to match Tom's facial geometry. There, he reunited with his old friend and stunt coordinator, Dan, who took him straight to the movie set where Jody was preparing for the shoot. While inspecting the set, Colt noticed the sand was loose and warned Dan that it might make the car uncontrollable. He also asked if Jody had inquired about him, but Dan avoided the question, only emphasizing that the stunt was crucial for Jody's movie. Despite the dangers, Colt agreed to perform the stunt on the loose sand. As expected, the car went out of control and crashed into a camera, breaking it. Even so, Colt flipped the car and completed the stunt. Jody got her favorite shot, but when Colt removed his helmet, Jody was shocked to see him. Colt then discovered that Jody hadn't called him for the stunt. Gail had lied to him. Jody told Colt to leave, but Dan explained to her that they needed to shoot a fire scene and no other stuntman was available. Reluctantly, Jody agreed to let Colt stay for the next stunt. Jody made Colt perform a dangerous stunt involving setting his entire body on fire. Even though Colt completed the stunt successfully, Jody kept making him redo it. Frustrated, she vented her emotions in front of everyone, narrating the story of her movie's hero, who fell in love with an alien. Colt confronted Gail, accusing her of lying. Gail admitted that Tom had fallen into bad company because of drugs and had been missing for days. Colt suggested involving the police, but Gail refused, fearing it would jeopardize the film's budget. She asked Colt to find Tom and bring him back. Feeling overwhelmed, Colt agreed, but decided to rest at the hotel. Gail gave him the key to Tom's apartment's rooftop gate. When Colt reached the rooftop, he entered the password and began looking around. Suddenly, Tom's girlfriend attacked him with a samurai sword, but it turned out to be fake. She explained that Tom often went to a club to meet a drug dealer with a snakeskin tattoo on his head. Following this lead, Colt went to the club, where the dealer spiked his drink. Under the influence, Colt started hallucinating fireworks and attacked the dealer's men. The dealer tried to escape in a taxi, but Colt stopped him by crashing into the car. Terrified, the dealer confessed that Tom's head of security had paid him to drug Colt. He then directed Colt to a hotel where he could find more answers. At the hotel, Colt requested a fruit plate from a man named Kevin, who handed him the key to Tom's head of security's room. Inside, Colt found a body in the bathtub, which shocked him. He called Gail, suggesting they report it to the police, but Gail stopped him. Moments later, a police officer arrived due to parking violations, and Colt informed him about the body. However, when they checked the room, the body was gone, leaving Colt confused. The next day, Colt tried to explain everything to Jody, but she kept him busy with an intense action shoot schedule. After a perfect shot, Jody invited Colt to an evening party. Before the party, however, Gail handed Colt a return ticket and urged him to leave without telling anyone. Around this time, Colt met Alma, Tom's personal assistant, who had Tom's mobile phone. Alma explained that Tom's security head was threatening her to retrieve the phone. She agreed to hand it over only if she was credited as the movie's producer. Colt convinced her and secured the phone. Before long, Tom's security head attacked Colt with an electric shock and kidnapped Alma, demanding the phone. With Tom's dog's help, Colt chased him, engaging in a fight on a moving truck. Despite the chaos, Colt managed to keep the phone safe and escaped. Later, with the help of Dan and a tech expert, Colt unlocked Tom's phone. They discovered a video showing Tom accidentally killing his second stunt double, Henry, during a party. The video explained why Colt had found Henry's body at the hotel earlier. However, the news soon broadcast Henry's death and included footage of Colt leaving the hotel, making it appear as though he had killed Henry. At that moment, Tom's security had arrived with his men and opened fire, one bullet destroying Tom's mobile phone. To escape the gunfire, Colt leaps from the apartment roof, crashing down into a nearby yard. There he meets Tom, who is celebrating a party. Tom quickly ties Colt up and begins torturing him, demanding his phone. But as Colt struggles, he discovers a shocking truth. Over a year ago, when he was injured from a fall during a film shoot, it was all part of Tom's plan. Tom had deliberately caused the accident, believing Colt was the real hero on set, Colt with petrol and set him on fire. As they attempt to burn him alive, Colt pretends to scream, taking a gulp of petrol. Then in a flash, he pours the petrol on his captors and sets them on fire before making a daring escape on a boat. His pursuers start shooting at him, but he manages to flee. While being chased, Colt calls Jody, explaining that he didn't kill Henry. He confesses that after his injury, he felt like a failure and believes she wouldn't want to be with someone so defeated, so he stayed away. He admits that the pain he felt wasn't physical, it was being apart from her. Jody, listening to his heartfelt confession, realizes how deeply Colt loved her. Meanwhile, Colt's boat crashes into an oil drum, triggering an explosion, and everyone believes he's dead. News outlets report it as a suicide, showing the edited murder video with Colt's face. But in the water, Colt miraculously survives. Jody, confused and desperate for answers, watches the video repeatedly. Suddenly, a man dressed as an alien enters her van. Thinking it's a ghost, she strikes him, only for him to give her a thumbs up. To her shock, she removes his mask and discovers it's Colt. He explains that the video was altered using AI, and the real footage was on Tom's broken phone. He also reveals that Gale orchestrated the entire scheme. Jody, feeling betrayed, initially refuses to continue with the film, but Colt urges her to finish it. "This is the dream you've been living for all this time," he says. "You must finish the movie." At that moment, Gale arrives and informs Jody that Tom has returned, but assures her that the car jump scene will no longer take place. Jody reassures her, "Don't worry, this movie will be completed." After Gale leaves, Jody and Colt hatch a plan to make Tom confess. They will perform the stunt for real, risking everything to get Tom to admit his crimes on camera. The next day, the shoot begins. Jody explains the scene to Tom, who reluctantly agrees to do it. But before the stunt can be completed, Colt forces his way into Tom's car, ties him to the seatbelt, attaches a steering wheel to his side, and drives off. Tom's security team chases them, but Dan, using explosives, flips all three cars in pursuit. Terrified, Tom finally confesses to everything. Jody records the confession, both audio and video. Colt, with a mouthguard, performs the car jump. After landing, the car crashes and Tom loses consciousness. But Gale, still determined, attempts to steal the hard drive containing the confession. In a fit of fury, Jody punches Gale and demands the drive back. Meanwhile, Dan and his crew battle Tom's security team. When Tom regains consciousness, he makes a run for a helicopter. Gale, too, escapes to the helicopter, and the two try to flee. Dan confronts Tom's head security and hangs him midair. Colt chases Tom, asking Jody for a date by the seaside. Jody smiles and agrees. Using a crane, Colt leaps onto the helicopter, and an intense fight ensues between him, Tom, and Gale. Dan, ever resourceful, positions an air mattress tied to his car directly beneath the helicopter. Colt retrieves the hard drive and leaps from the helicopter, landing safely on the air mattress below. Jody rushes to Colt, and in a moment of relief and joy, she kisses him. With the confession in hand, the movie Metal Storm is completed, with Jason Momoa stepping in to replace Tom. The movie is released to great acclaim. Later, Colt and Jody share a peaceful seaside date, and Colt has adopted Tom's dog. With that, the movie ends. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed the explanation, please like, subscribe, and share to support the channel. See you in the next movie explanation. Stay awesome.